Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to the Finance 360-degree session today. So today is a very special session for you all as I have brought for you the revision session for the November 2024. So why this revision session is so important for you? Because the more the MCQs you practice, the more the understanding you have regarding the examination, that what kind of questions can come in the examination, right? So the MCQs, they are very important for your practice. The more the MCQs that you practice, the more the understanding you have, the more the practice you have, and you will have the exam like scenario that okay, how fast you can give the answers of the questions, right? So good morning everyone and welcome to today's session. So let's revise the important topics that we have discussed in the previous sessions. So usually in the Finance 360-degree sessions, after every 5 sessions we conduct a revision session. So for November 2024 I have brought a single revision session. So in this we will discuss the topics of the November 2024 that we have discussed in the previous few sessions. Okay, so in the previous sessions that we discussed in November, so all those sessions we are going to revise through the MCQs and you will get to see that what kind of questions come in the examination. So let's get started, but before that do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap so that you continue getting these relevant videos and join our Telegram channel so that you get the PDF of today's session. Okay, so in the Telegram channel you will get the PDF and the link for the Telegram channel is provided in the description box below. So let's get started with the first question. So the first question is in front of you and this question is regarding a very important platform, that is your NDS-OM. Okay, so try to read the question. Let's see how many of you are able to answer this question. So first of all, the NDS, it is a negotiated dealing system. Initially, it was used for the issuance of the government securities in the primary market. So the RBI started releasing the government securities, started issuing the government securities on behalf of government through this NDS system. That was an online system. Then, however, in August 2005, the RBI introduced the NDS-OM, that is the negotiated dealing system order matching system. This was introduced by the RBI, which was an electronic platform based anonymous order matching trading system for dealing in the government securities on the secondary market, so that the transactions in the secondary market, the trade in the government securities in the secondary market can happen through the online platform, can happen in a faster and more efficient manner. So here now the question is that recently there is the access that has been increased. So access to the different entities has been increased for the NDS-OM platform. So which of the following statement is incorrect in this regards? So direct access shall mean access to NDS-OM wherein an entity that is party to a transaction directly executes or reports the transaction on to the platform and such transactions are settled in its own bank account. No, the transaction should be settled in the SGL account. Okay, the transaction should be settled in the SGL account. So that is the idea. Now the second statement, this is correct. Entities that are eligible to seek direct access to NDS-OM shall have a SGL account with the RBI. Okay, so there is the SGL account that is required with the RBI. Okay, so SGL account, it is a subsidiary general ledger account, like your securities or your shares, they are stored in the demat account, like correct, your shares that you are buying, the bonds that you are buying, they are stored in the demat account. Similarly, if the entities are buying the government securities from the RBI or they are trading the government securities among themselves, the government securities are stored in their SGL account. So if you want to have a direct access to the government securities in the secondary market also, then also you will need to have the SGL account with the RBI so that your government securities are stored here, as well as current account so that money can be transferred for buying or like money can be transferred for selling like to your account for the government securities. So current account with the RBI or a designated settlement bank, and membership is required of the securities settlement segment of CCIL, that is Clearing Corporation of India. So this is correct that yes, if you want to have the direct access, you need to have the SGL account with RBI, the current account for the money transference with the RBI or a designated settlement bank and a membership of the securities settlement segment of the CCIL. Direct access to the NDS-OM granted to an entity is transferable. That is wrong. The direct access is not transferable. So first statement and the third statement were incorrect, and that's why the right answer is B. So all the students that have given the right answer as B, it is correct. Okay. So for the direct access, you need to have the SGL account, you need to have the current account with the RBI or the designated settlement bank, you need to have the membership of the securities settlement segment. Okay. So this is the brief idea. Yes, SGL account, like you have a demat account to store your bonds, your securities. Similarly, there is the SGL account, that is subsidiary general ledger account, to store your general government securities in the demat form. So SGL account, it is maintained with the Reserve Bank of India for holding your government securities. Okay, so that is the idea. Now coming to the next news article or the next topic. The Reserve Bank has decided to expand the reporting requirement of Forex transactions and include the Forex exchange spot details. Okay, so till now what was happening, that the Forex transactions that were happening in the derivatives. So the derivatives that you were buying for the foreign exchange transaction, that were reported to the trade repositories. But now it has been said that even the spot transactions that are happening, the immediate transactions that are happening, even those have to be recorded or those have to be reported to the trade repository of the CCIL. So now, which of the following statements is or are correct, that you have to tell me. So let's see how many of you are able to answer this question. Okay. So transactions in the foreign exchange cash. Foreign exchange cash, tomorrow and spot contracts involving INR or otherwise shall now be reported to the trade repository. Absolutely correct, because whenever we are talking about spot transactions, we are also discussing about cash and tomorrow transactions. Okay. Authorized dealers shall report all the interbank foreign exchange contracts undertaken. So if the interbank foreign exchange contracts are happening, so that has to be undertaken by them, like the reporting should happen with effect from February 10, 2025. So authorized dealers shall report all the interbank foreign exchange contracts with effect from February 10, 2025. Now the CCIL is not responsible. It is the authorized dealers, because the foreign exchange transactions, the authorized dealers are a very important party in the foreign exchange contracts, in the foreign exchange transaction. So authorized dealer shall be responsible for ensuring the accuracy in respect of transactions reported. The CCIL has a trade repository that just collects the data. The authorized dealer has the responsibility of ensuring the accuracy. The CCIL is only maintaining the trade repository for collecting the data. So CCIL has no responsibility for ensuring the accuracy. It is the task of authorized dealers. So first and second statements are correct, and that's why, yes, very good. A is the right answer. Okay. So these kind of questions come in the examination. That is statement based question. The direct question can also come. Okay. So now the cash transactions are the immediate transactions that are happening on the transaction day. So today you have initiated your transaction. Today your transaction will be settled also. Tomorrow transactions are the foreign exchange tomorrow transactions are such where you have initiated your transaction today. The settlement will happen by the next working day. Okay. So T plus 1. Spot is today you have initiated your transaction. The settlement will happen like after 2 days. So T plus 2. So these are the transactions that will be reported to the trade repository. So other than the derivatives, these transactions or these contracts will also be reported to the trade repository of the CCIL. So this is the idea. And the interbank foreign exchange contracts will be reported with effect from February 10, 2025. Okay. So this is the additional information. If you want to know more about this news article, you can see the previous sessions. Okay. So now coming to the next question, such kind of direct question can also come in the examination. So authorized dealer shall report all the foreign exchange contracts executed with clients. So before we were talking about that the foreign exchange contracts that were happening between the banks themselves are the authorized dealer usually. But if the contracts are happening with clients, so what is the timeline that you have to tell? Okay. So for the USD 1 million, if the contracts are of the USD 1 million, then the with effect from May 2025, then with effect from May 2025, the reporting requirement has been initiated. So if the contracts are worth USD 1 million in any currency, if it is worth USD 1 million, then the reporting should happen from with effect from May 2025. Now, if the foreign exchange contracts with the value equal to or exceeding the threshold limit of USD 50,000 and equivalent thereof in other currencies with effect from November 2025. So this is the timeline, that if the foreign exchange contracts are of USD 1 million or more than this, or the same worth in any other currency, then the reporting should happen with effect from May 2025. And if the transactions, the foreign exchange contracts are of USD 50,000 or more than that, the reporting should start from November 2025. Okay, so this is the idea. So the timeline has been given, that this is the threshold limit, and if the transactions are happening of this amount or more than this, the reporting should happen with effect from November 2025. Okay, so this is the idea. Now coming to the next question, there is the direction. So there are the directions that have been released for central counterparties. Central counterparties are the third parties that are between your buyers and sellers. So the central counterparty work as a seller for the buyer and buyer for the seller. So they are in between the buyers and sellers. So there are the guidelines that have been released. Let's see how many of you are able to answer this. So here, the quorum for the meeting of board of directors of the central counterparty shall be 1/3 of its total strength or 3 directors, whichever is higher. So this is correct. Okay, the quorum for the meeting should be this much. The term of chairperson shall not be beyond 3 years, and the maximum permissible age for appointment or continuation as non-executive chairperson shall be 70 years. That is also correct. No person shall transfer, divest, sell or buy the equity shares of an authorized central counterparty without prior approval of RBI if the transfer of shares is equal to or more than 5% of the shares of the CCP. So if you are buying 1 share, if you are buying 2 shares, 0.01% of the shares, RBI is not stopping you in that. But if the shares are worth more than, equal to or more than 5%, then the approval has to be taken from the RBI. Okay. So that is also correct. A CCP shall hold the liquid net assets funded by equity capital. So if the CCP, if the central counterparty is selling its shares and getting the equity capital, so that has to be held in the liquid asset, that has to be kept in the liquid asset equal to the minimum of 6 months. For the minimum of 6 months, the equity capital, has to be kept in the liquid asset for the minimum of 6 months of for the current operating expenses, so that the CCP, so that the central counterparty can meet the current operating expenses. Okay, so it is not 3 months, it is 6 months, that if the CCP is funded by the equity capital, that has to be kept in the liquid asset for at least 6 months. So the E statement was actually incorrect. And yes, the term of the chairperson shall not be beyond 3 years. This is actually correct. Okay. So do not get confused between the directors. So for directors, the timeline is 5 years, but for the chairperson, the timeline is 3 years only. Okay. So be considerate about that also. So now, here you can see that the term of the chairperson shall not be beyond 3 years. For the directors, I think you are getting confused with the directors. For the directors, the timeline is 5 years. Okay. Yes. So a CCP shall hold liquid net asset funded by equity capital equal to minimum of 6 months. So equity capital, if the funding is through the equity capital, that has to be held in the liquid net assets. So for meeting the operating expenses, and this is the liquid assets has to be maintained for at least 6 months. Okay. So that is the idea. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this question very easy, and this is one of the main point of this direction, that as per the updated directions for the central counterparties, every applicant that is seeking authorization or recognition as a central counterparty shall have a minimum net worth of, how much? How much is the minimum net worth that is required? Yes, correct. 300 crores. Very good. Minimum net worth is always very important for the different entities. If the RBI has released the new directions or updated directions, always be focused on the net worth. Okay. So here the 300 crores is the minimum net worth for the central counterparties, but the RBI has said that if required, the RBI can impose a higher net worth requirement also. Okay, as per the future conditions. Now coming to the next question, a very important topic from your examination point of view. Whenever your examination happen, if the RBI Grade B examination, like in the recent RBI Grade B examination, we have seen a direct question from the domestic systemically important banks. Even though the topic was released in 2023, still this was in the examination of 2024. Similarly, now the D-SIBs list has been released in 2024, so it can be in your examination of 2025. Okay, so try to answer this question that you have to match the D-SIB with their buckets, okay. So which of the following is correct, that you have to tell me. Be very specific, okay. So there are the three domestic systemically important banks in our country, that is SBI, HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank. So these are domestic systemically important banks that are the too big to fail banks. Okay, so only one is correct, that is only the first point is correct, because the SBI, it has to maintain the bucket of 0.80%. It has to maintain the additional common equity tier 1 requirement of 0.80%. So State Bank of India is having the additional common equity tier 1 requirement of 0.80%. ICICI Bank actually has the additional common equity tier 1 requirement of 0.20%, and the HDFC Bank has the additional requirement of 0.40%. Okay, so do not get confused. SBI, remember SBI, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. Okay, this is how you have to remember. The SBI is kept in the highest of the buckets and ICICI Bank is kept in the lowest of the buckets. So only the first statement was correct. Only the first bucket of State Bank of India with 0.80% was correct. Okay, so these are the three banks that are considered too big to fail banks. They are the big banks that should not be failing in the country. Okay, now coming to the list, how the list is prepared, how the systemic importance score is given, that which bank is more higher in the bucket list, which bank is lower in the bucket list, or which bank should be coming in the bucket list. So how that systemic importance score is determined and how the domestic systemically important banks are determined. So that you have to tell me. So there are different criteria, right? Size, interconnectedness, substitutability, complexity. So there are 4 criteria to determine the domestic systemically important banks. In those 4 categories also, or in those 4 indicators, the highest weightage is given to size. The highest weightage is given to the size of the bank, and the weightage is 40%. So remember that the highest weightage is given to the size and the weightage is 40%. So it is very important. Okay. Now coming to the next question. So IDFC First Bank has become the first Indian bank to go live on the SWIFT GPI. So SWIFT is your Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. So SWIFT is a messaging system, is a global messaging system that connects your financial institutions globally. So you want, like, your bank, like you are a customer of XYZ bank and you want to send the money to the ABC Bank of US. Okay, so the communication of initiation of transaction and the completion of transaction, that messaging or that connection is generated through this SWIFT system. That is a telecommunication, that is a messaging system, and it has a system that is global payment innovation. So what is the primary advantage of IDFC First Bank becoming the first Indian bank to go live on the SWIFT GPI? So that is, yes, enhanced visibility and real-time tracking of cross-border transactions. So IDFC First Bank will be providing its customers the real-time tracking of the cross-border transactions. So if you are sending your money from your bank to some foreign bank, to some foreign person, So you can understand that you can track that when the payment will be released and where the payment is right now, the payment is initiated or not initiated. So you have the real-time tracking of your cross-border transactions like you do the tracking of your parcels or your orders, right? So that is the benefit or advantage of IDFC First Bank getting into the SWIFT GPI, so that there is the real-time tracking and visibility that is provided. So complete visibility, you will have the complete visibility of your cross-border transactions if you are the customer of IDFC First Bank, and IDFC First Bank has become the first Indian bank to go live on SWIFT GPI to offer the real-time tracking of your cross-border payments. Coming to the next important topic, that is the IBBI has collaborated with the IBA. Okay, so IBBI has collaborated with the IBA, and there is the EB-Grade platform. The collaboration is all about the EB-Grade platform. So try to answer this question, then we will discuss more about it. So the EB-Grade platform has been conducting. See, the IBBI, it is the regulator of the insolvency process. Okay, it is the regulator of the insolvency professionals, and it is the regulator of the insolvency process. So when the insolvency happens, liquidation might happen. So if the liquidation of asset is happening, if there is the liquidation of asset, if there is selling of asset that is happening, so auction happens for the asset through different platforms, and it can become a troublesome process. So IBBI has collaborated with IBA for this EB-Grade platform. The EB-Grade platform has been conducting auctions for asset mortgage to public sector banks under the SARFAESI Act for past 5 years. So this is correct. EB-Grade platform is a very big platform that provides for the auctioning. So the IBBI wants all the auctioning of the liquidated asset to happen through this EB-Grade platform, through this single platform, so that different platforms are not needed and the confusion should not happen. Now this EB-Grade platform is owned and managed by who? This EB-Grade platform is owned and managed by the PSB Alliance Private Limited, that is a consortium of 12 public sector banks. Okay, so EB-Grade platform is owned and managed by the PSB Alliance Private Limited, that is a consortium of 12 public sector bank. Okay, so this is wrong. Second statement is wrong. The centralized platform aims to enhance bidder participation. So the EB-Grade, it is a centralized platform because it is going to be a single platform for the auctioning of the liquidated asset. So it is a centralized platform that aims to enhance the bidder participation by providing them more of the information, by reducing the information asymmetry, by reducing the problem of the information. So bidder participation will increase and improve recovery rates by providing the more and more information and by reducing the information asymmetry. The IPs are handling the liquidation. So insolvency professionals, they handle the liquidation process. They are directed to list all the assets within 7 days of submission of asset memorandum to the adjudicating authority, that is the head when it comes to insolvency professionals. So for all the single insolvency processes that happen, so for all the single insolvency processes, the adjudicating authority is at the center. Okay, so within 7 days, the IPs handling the liquidation process are directed to list all the asset for the liquidation within 14 days of providing the asset memorandum to the adjudicating authority. Okay, so the first statement is correct and the third statement is correct. Second and fourth are wrong. So you had to tell me the correct statement. So 1 and 3 is your answer here, right? Yes, so C is the answer here. Okay, so here you can see that the EB-Grade is presently owned and managed by PSB Alliance Private Limited. It is working for past 5 years for the liquidation or for the auctioning of the asset that is kept as collateral with the public sector banks, as well as the EB-Grade platform. It is a very transparent and efficient platform which uses the advanced technology for maximizing the returns for the creditors and getting the real price for the actual price for the property. So the insolvency professionals shall list all the assets within 7 days of submitting the asset memorandum, the information about the asset, to the adjudicating authority. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this. So we are just one more question we have to discuss, then we are done with the session, okay? So try to answer this question. So RBI has recently released the report on municipal finances. Which of the following is the theme of the report? So the theme is always very important. Yes, very good. Own sources of revenue generation in municipal corporation, opportunities and challenges. So this is the theme of the report. So the report is report on municipal finances, and the theme is own sources of revenue generation in municipal corporations, opportunities and challenges. The highlights are given that the total revenue of the municipal corporation is greater than the total expenditure of the municipal corporation, but the total revenue is coming from two sources: grants and transfer from the upper tiers. So municipal corporation are getting the grants from central government, state government, the transfers from central government and state government. So grant and transfers, as well as the total revenue is coming from the own resources. Now it has been said by the RBI report that there is very heavy reliance on the transfers and grants. That means there is a big chunk of the total revenue that is coming from grants and transfers. So the own resources are very less for the municipal corporation. The municipal corporation is not able to generate the revenue, much of the revenue through the own resources, and that's why if we see that how much is the total revenue, how much is the revenue from the own resources, so that is less than the expenditure of the municipal corporation, okay? So if we see this part, that is the own resources are less than the expenditure of the municipal corporation. That means through the own resources, the municipal corporation will not be able to meet its revenue expenditure, its operating expenses, and it will become problematic, okay? Because own resources are very less for the municipal corporation. They are not able to collect much of the money from their property taxes, from the tax on water and such, okay? So this is the idea. So while the revenue account of the municipal corporation, the total revenue is greater than the total expenditure, but there is heavy reliance on the grant and transfer from the upper tiers. And if we talk about the own source of revenues, they are not adequate for meeting the revenue expenditure, the operating expenses of the municipal corporation. So that is problematic, okay? So now coming to the next question. So this is your homework question, because this is the topic that we have just discussed in the previous video. In the previous Finance 360-degree video, we have discussed about the sovereign green bonds, that is the 10-year sovereign green bonds. They are allowed under the fully accessible route. So the 10-year sovereign green bonds that are released in the second half of the financial year 2024-25, so that sovereign green bonds are allowed in the FAR route, okay? So that is the idea. Now the sovereign green bonds is the proceed from that bonds are seen, or they are tackled by the Green Finance Working Committee. So Green Finance Working Committee has the clear lines of authority to oversee and validate key decision on the issuance of the sovereign green bonds. Now which is chaired by who? So this is actually a homework question. So all of you that are able to give the right answer, very good. This is a homework question. Let's see how many of you are able to give the right answer in the comment section, okay? So now before ending the session, I want to show you that if you go to edutap.in, so you will be able to go to this EduTap's website, where you can get the free material, where you can read the blogs. So you can get the free materials where you can read the blogs that have been written in a very articulated, in a very well manner, so that you can get the exam information regarding different examination. So you can get the information for different examination, okay? For RBI, NABARD, SEBI, for different examination, you can get the exam information, you can get the strategy, and it is in the written form. So you can just read the strategy so that you have the idea of the different components. The success stories are also provided in the blog form, so that you have the idea regarding different strategies that the toppers adopted, okay? If you go back to the main page, you can go to the courses section also to see the course for a particular examination that you are preparing for. So if you are preparing for RBI, you can see the courses for RBI Okay, whatever the course that is provided, what is provided in the course, who all will be teaching, so all of that is provided in this course section, so that you get the idea that what all is provided, so that there is no information asymmetry, there is nothing that we want to hide from you. We have provided you the information that who all will be teaching and what all you will be getting. Okay, so this is it. This is the session, this is the homework question. I hope many of you will be able to answer the homework question, and this is it for the session. How many marks you have got, so that you have to tell me that out of 10 how much marks you have got, as well as give me the right answer of the homework question. Okay, let's keep a healthy competition, so that from now onwards you are prepared for the revision session, from now onwards you are prepared for the MCQs, and you are able to solve the MCQs in a faster manner also. Okay, so be prepared for such revision sessions, and let's see that how many marks you are getting from the get-go. Okay, so this is it from my side, and thank you very much everyone for joining the session. I hope you liked the session, and I will be bringing more sessions in the future. So be with me till your examination, so that you have the clarity, you have the basic level of understanding in the finance current affairs and in the RBI notifications, RBI press releases. Okay, you're most welcome, Sorish. Thank you very much everyone for joining the session. Thank you.